Yes, what's happening, people? And welcome back to GavGoesIn. Obviously, Next Gen 50, best 50 players in the world right now. Young players, obviously under 21. And someone we're going to go on to, is someone that I think he's definitely one of the best players in his age group for sure. The one worry I have is, as I've mentioned before with other players, if they're not getting regular game time, they're going to need to kind of seek out other things and see how they can force their way to being a regular starter. And as I said, I think this player has a lot of potential. For me, right now, he's good enough to start for Arsenal. But, well, I've given it away, I think, to many people. But he's good enough to start for Arsenal, in my opinion. But, again, he's got a certain academy graduate who is regarded as, arguably their best player and one of the biggest names in England as well. And then he's got the captain as well. So the two positions where he plays is being blocked by two players that, you can say are automatic starters in the manager's eyes, And we're going to get on to Arsenal's Ethan Nwaneri, And for me, Nwaneri, as I mentioned before, only 18 years of age. Obviously, Arsenal's youngest ever Premier League starter at 15. Youngest ever player as well in the Premiership. And to think that he's 18 now as well, it just shows you time goes quick, man. Obviously, he's a first team squad member right now. And he's made, 40 appearances for Arsenal with a return of 11 GA in all comps. Obviously, part of England's recent under-21s European Championship win as well. Playing 6 games. I can't remember how many starts he got, but from the games that I watched, he didn't start one of them. And maybe that's because, maybe because of the factor that he wasn't playing regularly for Arsenal, But I think in terms of Nwaneri, as I just mentioned, he's got Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard in the position that he plays ahead of him. Now, for me, as a footballer, he's more talented than Saka. But as we know, Saka's got the experience over him. Saka at a young age still. I think Saka's 23, 24 now? Or might be 25, I'm not too sure. But he's vastly experienced, Saka, And again, he's Arsenal's vice-captain as well, behind Odegaard. And I think him and Gabriel might be their vice-captains. So Saka, for me, obviously, isn't going to get dislodged by Nwaneri, even though Nwaneri is a better footballer. But again, Arsenal are invested in Saka, And again, Nwaneri, for me, I do think his best position is as a number 10. But on that right-hand side, it's safe to say that Bukayo Saka's got that nailed down. And I think with Martin Odegaard obviously being the captain, he's got the preference over Nwaneri in that sense as well. Now, what I would say for Nwaneri, as I mentioned, with Endrick as well, it's when I was doing Endrick the other day, I mentioned Endrick has to think about the future of his career. He's 18 years of age, just like Nwaneri. And if you're not getting regular game time now, you've got to really think about your future. And the same goes for Nwaneri, because I think Nwaneri, as I said, is definitely good enough to be starting. What I like about Nwaneri is his composure on the ball. The way he receives the ball as well in the tight spaces. Being diminutive as well in stature. He's very he's very quick over a short distance. Tricky as well. And as I said, he's got everything for me to potentially be an England starter in the future for the national team, and to be a major starter for, if it's not Arsenal, but for another team. But I think at the moment, and I've heard that there's contract problems as well with Nwaneri, and I believe part of the contract why it's stalling is because I reckon he wants assurances that he's going to be playing regularly. And I believe if he doesn't get that from Arteta, why is he staying there? Because I think he can go on loan, or I think he can go to another team and hold down a start, regularly. So I think that's what the contract stallments and the reason the contract is stalled at the moment is because of that. And I think definitely the season that Odegaard has had as well, Nwaneri for me should have got more game time. But again, I think Arteta's going to look at the fact that he's still only 18 and the fact that Odegaard as the captain is going to get preference over him. So I just think, Nwaneri has to have a strong think about the new contracts that if he's going to sign at Arsenal, where does he actually figure in this team? Because for me, as I said, I think it's a case where he might have another similar season as what he's had this season, where he's going to get bit part minutes, and someone of his quality should be playing a lot more than he does, especially if you've got other players that are not really playing as well as what he can, as what he's probably shown as well. So I think definitely he's got to think about that and see where his future lies. But yeah, I think personally, potentially I think he can be one of England's best players, along with a few others. But again, if he's not getting the game time and experience, his progression is going to stall. So personally, I think a move away from Arsenal is going to be good. Because if Odegaard stays there next season and Nwaneri does stay there, by the time Nwaneri knows it, he's 19, he's gonna be 19, and then missing out on development. And then who knows? Arsenal might even bring in another player. They've got a certain another player that is coming through their youth as well. That I'm gonna obviously talk about in my next Gen 50 as well. You never know. He could be someone that does replace Nwaneri if Nwaneri does move on, or if Nwaneri's progression stalled. So I think Nwaneri, for me, if he's not going to get assurances that he's going to be a regular starter next season at Arsenal, I think he has to force the move and either get a loan or get a permanent move elsewhere. But I rate him highly. I think he's very good. As I said, as a footballer, I rate him higher than Bukayo Saka, and I think potentially, you've got one of the best attacking midfielders in Europe. As I said, youngest ever player to play in the Premiership, youngest ever player for Arsenal, and for me they should reward him with the ability that he has and give him more starts. But who knows? But yeah, guys, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about Nwaneri. Do you think Nwaneri should move on loan or go on a permanent? Do you think Arteta should give him more game time in the coming season ahead of Martin Odegaard? Do you think Nwaneri, if he does get regular game time, he can find his way into the England senior national squad? Obviously, that national squad is stacked of attackers, but I think he's every bit as good as what they've got in there. But he just needs to get the experience and the confidence to know that he's a regular player. And until that happens, who knows, But yeah, guys, let me know what you think. Smash that like button, subscribe to my channel, and I'm going to catch you guys in a bit. Take it easy.